What is up, everyone, and welcome to some more F1 24 League Racing. It's back for the Streamers & Co VRL for round number 3 of the season. We're going to be at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for the first time in the league's history. We've done 4 seasons, 12 races per season. This is the first time we have ever raced around Azerbaijan, and I, for one, am looking to bounce back after what can only be described as a torrid weekend last time at Silverstone. You may remember that race. I ended up finishing P13 in the actual race after some difficult times racing against other drivers who perhaps were not being the most fair you've ever seen. It has to be said, but we're going to try and bounce back and have a better time of things here today. And of course that starts in qualifying here in Baku. This is our first flying lap on a set of soft compound tyres. We'll see what kind of time we can do. Cross the line, it's a 140.6. Only 4 drivers crossed the line so far, and we are number 4, so not fantastic, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to find a bit more improvement. I actually did quite a bit of practice in the build-up to this race, so I'm hoping that will be able to carry me through. We currently find ourselves in P11 as we round the final few corners for our second flying lap here, and we are up by quite a significant margin actually, almost 8/10 of a second. I think by the time we get to the line it will be over 8/10 of a second in fact, so we will see what kind of time this is looking like on our second flying lap here as we cross the line. We're into the 139s, it's a 139.8, and we're still P11, but I think that lap time was good enough to put us ahead of Jermaine now, who obviously was a close rival of ours in Season 2 and Season 3, and it's looking like potentially that rivalry might be moving through into Season 4 here as well, but we will have to see how the rest of the season unfolds before we make any bold predictions about that. On our final flying lap, you can see that we are improving by about 6/10 of a second, but unfortunately I didn't take the final few corners as well as I did on the previous lap, and so we actually lost a little bit of time, but we still do a 139.2, and that has put us P8 for the time being. We will see what kind of lap times everybody else is going to be doing over the next few seconds of the session, and it ends up being P9 for us, so one person did improve to get ahead of us. I'll show you the full qualifying rundown in just a moment, and you will be able to see that it is actually Alex, that sim racer, on pole position, followed up by Anto, Lewis, my teammate Bjarni, Andy, who's reserving today, then we have Phil Stayed Body, Mare, myself, Simple, KK, Smith, RC, Costa, Jermaine, Carl Nelson, and Mike, the last of the drivers who actually qualified. Liam and Ryan both serving qualifying bans for breaking the rules in the previous race in Silverstone. So could potentially have been P11 had it not been for those qualifying bans served by those guys, but still I was pretty happy with that. We were right in the mix with the likes of Stayed Body, Mare, Simple, all of these guys who I'd like to be racing with week in, week out if I can. So we will see whether we can have a good time of things now in the race, but it is going to be raining to kick things off. It's only intermediate conditions, and they were suggesting that we could be able to get to the end on a set of intermediate tyres. Now you will see that it is actually going to dry up at some point during the race, so I think the strategy here is going to be take one set of inters to the dry period and then pit immediately onto a dry set of tyres off the intermediates and try and take that dry set of tyres to the end of the race if we can. But we will see now what we can do as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we've had a pretty decent getaway there, all things considered. Haven't really made any forward progress, but I don't think we will be falling too far back either. We have got Simple on our inside, who's going to maybe look to make a move up the inside. Somebody's tagged us from behind there. We got a little bit of understeer or oversteer, and I think it was KK maybe hit us from behind. We got a bit of a warning, maybe suggesting that I braked maybe a tiny bit too early there, but honestly I was just desperately trying not to do what some of the other cars behind did and go into the back of the cars in front of me. So we remain in P9 off the beginning of this race, and you can see Phil actually having a bit of a struggle of things at the beginning here. Stayed Body already got past him, and now I think Mary's going to go for the move as well. Bjarni, my teammate as well, he's down a few positions off the start. I think there was some kind of incident there by the looks of things, not 100% sure, but Phil has made his way all the way down into P8. We make a bit of contact with him from behind. This is exactly what I'm talking about. In the wet, it is so hard to gauge where the right braking zones are, especially when you've got cars very close in front of you. Fortunately, we escaped without any damage from that light bit of contact with Phil, and we will see now if we can get past him. Meanwhile, Bjarni looks like he's gone deep there, and I think I saw a bit of front wing there from him potentially. I thought about it for a second, and then I remembered what corner we were going into and backed out of it. But this is my teammate, of course. If you're wondering why we're all racing in F1 World cars today, it's because the most recent patch on the game has kind of broken equal performance for normal F1 cars. So we don't really have a choice, unfortunately. We have to be using player cars. We've tried to adjust our player liveries as best we can to represent the teams that we actually drive for in the league. So I'm using the Alpine Esports livery today because I have that available to me, having pre-ordered the Champions Edition of the game. I think there's a few people here who are also driving in the McLaren Esports livery. I think Simple, who's reserving for McLaren today, he's in the McLaren Esports livery. But if things look a little bit different to how you remember the cars looking, that's just because we are racing in those player cars. Hopefully there will be a patch soon, but there may be 1 or 2 more races that we do with this setup before they actually adjust equal performance to be truly equal, which at the moment I'm told, I've not actually experimented it with myself, but yeah, at the moment it's not particularly equal between the two. So as we make our way onto lap number 2, you can see for now we remain in P9. We've not made any forward progress, but we've not fallen back either, which is nice. We're keeping comfortably ahead of Simple for the time being as well, so I think we've got a very good chance of scoring points here. Hopefully Bjarni will be able to score some points as well. We get a double points finish for Alpine if we can, but you can see here I brake just a tiny bit too late into the castle section and we've absolutely binned it. Fortunately I didn't get any more damage than just a tiny bit of front wing damage. We're down into yellow front wing damage. It's not fantastic, and it will probably hamper our performance a little bit, but it could be a lot worse. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to move forward from this and see if we can maybe make up a few more positions here. Captain Liam directly in front of us. Obviously he was one of the drivers serving a qualifying ban. You'd have to say he's probably one of the faster drivers in the league, especially on this year's game. He's been doing very well so far in the league, so we will see how things unfold with him. I think probably he'll be likely to get ahead of Jermaine nice and quickly, as Ryan has done there as well. So yeah, but I think before long it will be myself and Jermaine together on track once again. We just can't stay away from each other, it seems. These rivalries between us, they don't exist for no reason. It is very much founded on the basis of the fact that we do often find ourselves close together on track. Realistically, I probably shouldn't have been close to him on track today, but that is just how things unfortunately unfolded with the state of my accident on lap 2 there. As we make our way onto lap number 3, we are now down in P16, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to continue to make our way through the field and hopefully make up a few more positions. No DRS at the moment, obviously, because it's currently wet, but we continue to move closer and closer to the dry racing. It definitely does seem like the rain is easing off, the track is drying, so I don't think it'll be too long before it's dry. And now as we make our way on to lap number 4, you can see that Liam has got past Jermaine and also past RC as well, but there is a safety car out, which I believe is due to an incident involving Costa in the Kick Sauber, if I'm not mistaken. He is down in P18. He's had some kind of crash, I'm not 100% sure. Fortunately, he's managed to stay in the race, but I guess there's a lot of debris over the track, so they have pulled out the safety car. We're going to be coming in to the pits. We're going to be boxing for another set of intermediate tyres because they supposedly are the best tyre to be on. The reason we're going on the intermediates, and the reason we're coming in at all, I should say, really, is to fix that front wing damage, because obviously we've got front wing damage from that incident at the castle section. The only driver who I'm losing a position to by doing this is going to be Mike in the Ferrari, so I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. I think, hopefully, based on the pace we've been showing so far this weekend, I should be able to get past Mike nice and quickly, especially if the track dries out, which is not too far away from doing. We're a little bit slow away from the box. I'm still getting used to racing without pit assist. I'm just glad, to be honest, that in 3 races so far we have not got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane or anything like that, because it's very easy to do when there's no pit assist, especially if you're used to racing with it on, which I am. Obviously I do in my career mode, and we have done in all 3 seasons of the league so far. This is the first one that we haven't. This is also the first season that we're doing 50% distance races instead of the 35% distance races we were doing before, so lots has changed for this league, but some things stay the same, and we're going to try and get ahead of Mike now as quickly as we possibly can. We got a bit of a jump on him with the restart, but I think he's going to be just far ahead of us to stay ahead. We have to leave him a bit of room on the outside of the corner because we were wheel to wheel going in. I was the attacking car, so you have to make sure that you leave a bit of space on the outside for the driver to defend the position, otherwise that would be hideously unfair racing. And we unfortunately, as a result of that, couldn't get ahead of Mike just yet, but hopefully we'll be able to get past him nice and quickly. The track is drying out quite a lot as well now. I would say it's almost dry. A few cars, I think Phil and either Simple or Liam, I think Simple, those two have both boxed now for a set of dry tyres. I think maybe that was a fraction early, if I'm perfectly honest with you, but we'll see whether they can actually get their dry tyres heated up to the requisite temperature or not. Like I said, I think maybe they jumped a lap early or something like that. I can see what the motivation for doing it was, but honestly, if they were going to go early, I think they probably should have gone during the safety car rather than at the end of the safety car. So at the end of lap number 8, we do come in for a set of hard compound tyres to the end of the race. It was indeed Phil and Simple, you can see, who both boxed there. But yeah, basically everybody coming in now. Somebody, I'm not sure who, because obviously the teams aren't as they usually are, but somebody was in the pit box when I arrived. It meant we got a bit of a quick stop compared to what we're used to, but maybe a little bit of a hold up as well. And we'll see now where we're going to come out in relation to everybody else. I think we're going to be just narrowly ahead of Phil here, actually. So he has massively dropped the ball. You have to remember that he not only was ahead of us before the safety car, but he also would have gapped us by quite a lot before the safety car due to my incident. So I was probably about 10 positions down on him, to be quite honest. So yeah, a bit of a disappointing situation for Phil to find himself in. We're still just behind Jermaine now in P15. He's in P14. I'm hoping we'll be able to clear him nice and quickly. Mike, for whatever reason, has stayed out, and actually a few people have stayed out for an extra lap. I think that is a big mistake personally, and we've got massive overspeed here on Jermaine, so we're going to see if we can go for a move up the inside. Not quite close enough. We've kind of got that a bit wrong, unfortunately. He turned in a fraction earlier than I was expecting him to as well, and as a result of that, we sent him into a bit of an oversteer moment. Fortunately, he managed to keep it out of the wall. We didn't cause any incidents, and yeah, now we can try and get ahead of him again, because he is going very slowly on those hard compound tyres. We're going to go around the outside there. We get a bit of an oversteer, and we go into the wall. Fortunate to escape without damage there, and I think Phil now has got ahead of Jermaine as well, so it's going to be a three-way battle here for P14 right now. Phil's overtaken us, he's overtaken Jermaine. We're going to try and get back ahead of Phil now with the DRS, with the battery, but I don't think we're quite going to have the speed for it. Jermaine now, I think, is going to go up the inside of us, and he's going to push us wide, and I don't know what happened there, but he seemed to turn into us there. That was ridiculous from Jermaine. I don't know what he was doing. You know, I literally was just talking about if you want to be fair racing through that corner, if you're the attacking car, you need to leave room on the inside. Not only did he not leave room on the inside there, but it seemed to me, and maybe, you know, you can go and watch the replay of this, that he jinked to the right slightly as we were going through the corner as we get past Carl Nelson here, who seems to have had some sort of incident. Not quite sure. We're going to dive down the inside of Jermaine now, try and get ahead of him as quickly as we can. I think he's got front wing damage as well, which, you know, you'd have to say he brought that on himself by just not leaving me enough room. You know, he was the attacking car going into the corner. We talked about this with the stewards afterwards. He tried to claim that I had room to back out there. I would argue, based on the fact that he was the attacking car, I, first of all, did not need to back out of that move, but second of all, it was my corner to begin with, so if anyone should have been backing out of that move, it should have been him and not me. So yeah, a little bit of a perplexing move there from Jermaine, but it seems like he's come out worse from it than I have. I seem to be able to continue with the level of front wing damage that we've got, but it's just annoying more than anything, because it feels like I've basically had front wing damage for the entire duration of this race. You can see Andy there and also RC a little bit earlier. Both of them had incidents, which means that we've managed to gain a couple positions going through turns 2 and 3 here on lap number 11. And despite the front wing damage, we're actually doing quite well to stay with the McLaren of Simple in front of us. So, you know, you would have to ask yourself, what would we do? What would we be doing? What kind of pace would we be showing if we actually you know, didn't have front wing damage for the majority of this race? I feel like we actually would be a potential contender here, as we're closing down to KK in front, who I think he maybe has damage as well. Somebody seemed to have an incident with Andy at turn 3. There was debris on the track, so I'm wondering if that might have been KK who got caught up in that as well, because he is going a little bit slowly right now, so we will see how things unfold with him. I think Simple's going to get past him now. We're going to have the DRS on him as well as we come on the run down to turn 1. Will we be able to get past the Mercedes driver here? I think we're going to look to the inside, try and dive up the inside if we can, and we turn in a fraction early. We have to correct the car, and as a result we make a bit of contact there with KK. I think he maybe turned in on us a little bit. We didn't have much room to make the move, but we did just about manage to do it. Hard racing but fair racing, I think, is how I would describe that with KK, and crucially I did leave him enough room to defend his position on the outside of the corner as well. You notice how I'm not letting this one go. But yeah, as we make our way through turn 3, you can see Costa's been put in the wall there by someone, and that has brought out the virtual safety car. That's going to allow us to just take a bit of a breather here in this race. We can speed through the virtual safety car period. Hopefully we'll be able to stay close enough to Simple here to be able to sort of stay in his DRS and hopefully mount a bit of a challenge on him going forward through the remainder of the race. And now as we make our way towards the final sector of the lap, you can see the virtual safety car will be ending here, and the DRS once again has been enabled. Mike in front, he's got a drive-through penalty, I assume because he was slightly over the delta in the VSC period when it ended. So yeah, disappointment for him because he's actually running in the points on pure pace at the moment, Mike. So I'm sure that he'll be very, very disappointed with the way that this has unfolded for him. Now we're going to try and see if we can close down Simple. We do have the DRS on him, which is nice, but we do have a few cars attacking behind us as well. I'm trying to see who the closest car behind. I think KK maybe got a drive through or some damage as well there. Lots of cars actually coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap, so I'm not sure if that's due to damage or what's going on there, but the closest car behind us now is going to be RC in the Red Bull, 10 seconds behind us. So this is going to be a straight fight right now between myself and Simple, and I thought about going for a move up the inside there, but we're actually going to go for a bit of a switchback here by the looks of things as we exit turn 3 into turn 4. Going to try and look around the outside, but Simple breaks quite late into the corner to try and cover us off and make sure we can't go around the outside of him there. You know, once again, hard but fair racing from Simple Name, and we're going to see if we can close him down in one of the next few corners coming on the run now towards the castle section. This should be a bit of a procession between the two of us. I think if I go for a move here, you know, I'd be very much expected to apologise, as Simple actually makes a bit of contact with the inside of the corner there. Only his rear left tyre though, so I think he should be able to escape there without any damage, but you know, he's not going particularly fast here right now. I wonder if he's saving battery or something like that, but we're super close to him and make a bit of contact with his rear wing. No damage, fortunately. We're going to try and go for a move up the inside, and I mean, that was a whisker away from contact between the two of us there. I would have potentially put him in the wall. I had to cut the corner a little bit there to avoid making any contact with Simple, and you know, this is inch perfect racing between the two of us and maybe slightly over the limit. Now that move there from Simple, I asked myself, was that necessarily particularly fair? Because he seemed to brake and let me through to allow himself to get the DRS in the DRS zone going forward. I think he knew I would have overtaken him with the DRS had he stayed ahead. So yeah, a little bit of DRS chicken between myself and Simple. Obviously we can't play it too much because we do have cars who are only sort of 9 seconds behind us at the moment, very, very close behind. If we do keep battling with one another and holding each other up, I don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we're accidentally letting cars behind through due to all this battling that's going on. But we're going to have another go at him now around the outside on the run into turn 3. Once again, he brakes just that little bit later, but can we go for the switchback this time? I think he'll probably end up doing what he did on the previous lap, if I had to guess, and you can bet your bottom dollar that is exactly what happened. So we stay in P11 for the time being. We're getting closer and closer now to making this move. I think it's only a matter of time. I can tell at this point I have a little bit more pace than Simple does, but he is using all of his defensive acumen right now to try and keep me behind, and I don't know who's going to win out in this battle, but one thing's for certain, I don't think that this is going to go on for the remainder of the race here. I think eventually something has to give. Maybe he'll crack under the pressure or something like that. We make a bit of contact with the inside wall there, fortunately escape without any damage, such as the nature of racing on reduced damage, as I think we do in this league, which you know, that's definitely bailed quite a few people out here today, I would say. Once again we have the overspeed on Simple, but this time I decide it's not worth going for the move there. I think that would have caused a crash, and in fact Simple actually does make contact with the inside wall there, and that's going to allow us to go for a move on the run down into the next corner. We're going to be wheel to wheel going through the next sequence of corners. Who's going to be leading into the DRS detection point? I think by the looks of things it's going to be me once again. I think he's allowed us to have it because he knows that he can get back past us with the DRS if he can allow me to go through the DRS detection point first. So here we go. He's actually managed to overtake me even before we get to the DRS zone. And then as we make our way into the DRS zone, it's a bit of a formality here. Meanwhile, you can see the gap behind to Alex is only 4.8 seconds now, as Captain Liam has come into the pit. So we're both in the points right now, myself and Simple, but we have the medium compound runner of Alex, that sim racer, closing us down quite close behind. So we need to be careful and try and get ahead of Simple as quickly as we possibly can. We're going to try and overtake him now, and I think this time it will be successful with the DRS. We are just a little bit too fast for Simple to even think about going for a defensive move here. and hopefully this will be the end of it. You know, I've said I think I may have slightly more pace than him. It's time to put that to the test and see if we can break away by over a second as we make our way through the next sequence of corners. Somebody seems to have had an incident somewhere here, because there was a yellow flag out. I think it was Smith in front, actually, because we've suddenly gone from being 10 seconds behind him to just 3 seconds behind him. So yeah, we've caught up with Smith a little bit, and as we make our way through the castle section now, you can see that Simple is out of the race, and I think he must have crashed in the castle section. Safety car has been deployed. I was absolutely gutted for him, because that was an absolutely incredible battle between myself and the McLaren driver. One that I hope when the rest of the stewards and the people in charge of this race watch this video, they will appreciate that Simple definitely does deserve a full-time seat in this league, which he has been offered as a result of a few people dropping out of the league after this race. Yeah, we're going to make our way into the pit lane now. Starting to lose my voice, and it's not a fantastic time for it because there's still 10 more laps in this race. Yes, the safety car's out. That will provide us a little bit of respite. We're going to change our front wing once again, pit onto the medium compound of tyre, and I'm hoping that this will be enough to see us through to the end of the race without any real issues. I think a few people may jump us in the pit lane here, but I'm hoping that we will have the pace to see us through here. I don't know whether Costa's going to get ahead of us out of the pit exit or not. I think fractionally Costa does just manage to make it happen. Obviously, if I hadn't had to change my front wing, we would have been ahead of him, and it would have been Smith in front that we were racing with. But you know, quite a few cars still in front of us that we can get past. I definitely think points are going to be on for us with the pace we've been showing. I think we're faster than Costa especially, and we'll see whether there are any other cars in front that we can potentially try and make a move on. Unfortunately now, of course, we've got Jermaine directly behind us, so we're going to have to try and get a real wriggle on here to avoid having him doing anything to us like he did on lap number 9, I believe it was. We're going to try and dive up the inside of Costa here as quickly as we can. Unfortunately, he has that overspeed round the outside. I left him enough room on the outside, which you know, Jermaine's probably watching that and thinking, wow, I didn't know that was actually possible to do that. So yeah, a little bit of racing education for Jermaine, watching myself and Costa battling behind, and we'll see if he's going to go for a move up the inside on us. Jermaine not quite close enough to go for it on this occasion, and we're going to try and get past Costa as quickly as we can. You might have seen Bjarni peeling into the pits at the end of the safety car period, and there was also, I believe, an incident between Mare and Ryan into turn 1, which allowed me to gain a couple more positions. So yeah, that's a little bit of education for Jermaine on what not to do going through that corner, as I believe Mare just went a bit too tight to the inside of the corner and ended up shoving Ryan McLean off the track after locking up or something to that description. Meanwhile, Alex, that sim racer, he retired early from the race. He'll be serving a qualifying ban for doing that in the following race, which I believe will be in Monza, for those of you who are curious. And yeah, now with the DRS, we're going to see if we can stay with the likes of Costa and Smith. Costa making his way into P6. Meanwhile, it's Smith in P7, myself in P8, and Jermaine maybe starting to fall away from this battle a little bit down in P9. Just not quite with the requisite amount of pace to keep up with the rest of us. We're going to see if we can get ahead of Smith with the DRS here now, but unfortunately he's got the DRS to Costa in front. So it's going to be a bit of a three-way fight here between the three of us right now for this P6 position, I think. And, well, if you think back to the beginning of the race when I was all the way down in sort of P17, P16, at one point I think it was even P18 after that incident with Jermaine, to find ourselves now all the way up fighting for P6 is much better than I ever could have imagined. So I'm very, very happy with the situation we find ourselves in. And, yeah, we mounted a bit of an attack there on Smith, but not quite close enough to make it happen on this occasion. But definitely we still have a few more laps to try and get ahead of them. 6 more at the end of this lap. Meanwhile, we've got the DRS. I think Smith will have it on Costa as well, so there should be an opportunity for me to move into P7. Costa losing 2 positions there. Jermaine not really close enough to get involved in this fight on this occasion. And Costa's going to try and go around the outside of me this time, but this time we actually do have enough pace in the tank to be able to stay ahead of Costa. You know, obviously on the safety car restart he was a little bit faster around the outside, but this time we do manage to make the move, and we're going to try and go for a move on Smith as well, I think, if we can, up the inside into turn 3, but we're not quite close enough. We back out of the move and we let Smith have it for the time being. Unfortunately there for Smith, he actually teleports back into us. I think some sort of lag, not sure if that was on my end or his end. I imagine it must have been on his end. but luckily he manages to stay ahead of us irrespective of that lag incident there, which I was quite happy for, because I wouldn't want to gain a position through any kind of underhanded means, or it would have felt very unfair if I'd gained it due to lag or anything like that. But this time with the DRS, I think we're going to be able to gain this fair and square as we make our way towards turn 1. Is Smith going to try and hold it around the outside of us? I don't think he's quite close enough to do that, and we have overtaken him up into P6 now. You can see Phil, meanwhile, has a 3-second penalty in front, so if we can close down Phil close enough to the point that we can get within 3 seconds of him, maybe another safety car or something like that could do the job for us here. We could be finding ourselves potentially contending for top 5 here. Now, I'd just like to remind you, the last time I finished in the top 5 of a race in Streamers & Co. was in, I believe, the Canadian Grand Prix in Season 1, a very, very long time ago now. At least in a proper season race. I did actually have a podium in an off-season race that we did at the start of the F1 24 life cycle. But as we make our way into lap number 23 now, you can see that Smith is not really close enough to go for a move. So it does seem like we do have potentially a bit more pace than these guys. We actually have the pace to keep with the likes of Phil and Captain Liam in front, who, these are not guys who I've really been racing with at all over the course of the last few seasons. Really, they seem to have had the pace on me, so maybe we finally turned a corner, or maybe it's just a Baku thing, I'm not quite sure. But either way, I'm very, very happy with the situation that we find ourselves in here, making a lot of progress compared to Silverstone last time out. I'm hoping that Monza will be another situation where we can find ourselves bagging some decent points. Obviously you have to take this result with a grain of salt. Obviously it is Baku, there's a lot of chaos that gets thrown up here, and quite a few fast drivers, the likes of Bjarni, Alex, Andy, and also Ryan and Martin, having the contact that they had as well has allowed me to make up a few positions. We'd probably be closer to sort of the fringes of the points, maybe the very low end of the points, had it not been for the incidents with all of those people. So whether we'll be scoring consistent P6s every time, I'm not quite sure. Meanwhile, you can see that Smith behind, he's had a bit of an incident somewhere and he's fallen way down on us now. So that's pretty good to see, and hopefully it means that we should just be able to bring it home now in P6. I think we won't be close enough to catch up to Phil. Him and Liam still battling away over that P4 position. Obviously it will go the way of Captain Liam, I believe, just for the simple fact that Phil is with that 3-second penalty. I don't think, unless they really hold each other up on this lap, that I'll be able to do anything better than that. But we will see. Meanwhile, I think there's a 3-way fight going on for the lead, and that's between Stayed Body, Lewis and Anto. Those three all fighting over the lead at the moment. We'll see who comes out with the victory there. Meanwhile, Phil has been passed by Liam on the final lap. I think Liam now will probably break away from him. Not that it would have mattered anyway, because Phil does have that 3-second penalty for track limits, which I did question how he even managed to get a track limits penalty at a track like Baku. I think I had one warning over the course of the entire race, 26 laps, so yeah, really not sure how that's happened. There's yellow flag ahead. Lewis has crossed the line first, but I think somebody's crashed, and it's Anto has crashed right at the very end, so we actually are going to inherit P5 in this race. As we cross the line, we were just 2 seconds away from being within Phil's range here as well. But this is one of my best results in Streamers & Co. for a very, very long time. It's quite ironic that Mark is saying it's not my best outing, because I think P5 from P9 would have been a good result irrespective of all the adventures I went on during the race. Now, here's a really interesting thing. Things get a lot better from here on out, you'll be interested to know. You are going to see the podium ceremony in just a second, which is Lewis, I believe, leading Stayed Body and Liam as a result of the end carnage with Anto there. But Anto's DNF was judged to be the fault of Stayed Body, so he got a 10-second penalty. That promoted me up one position into P4. Captain Liam was judged to basically cross the line unfairly in a way that we've warned him about in the past, and he kind of ignored that. There's a very clear rule saying if you crash across the finish line, you'll be penalised for that as well, so he got another 10-second time penalty as well. That's promoted me up into P3, and Phil, for the incident with Costa earlier in the race, also was issued a 5-second penalty. So I have inherited P2 in this race off of all the penalties. So it was Lewis, from myself, from I believe Stayed Body, Liam and Phil, and then it was Smith, Martin. Jermaine actually was awarded a disqualification for the incident that we had, which promoted Costa into P8, and then RC and KK were the final 2 points finishers. So an absolutely incredible race for us there, but that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.